Welcome to Pulse Point News, where every headline matters and every update keeps you ahead. Stay informed with breaking news, global updates, and deep insights. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the pulse of the world. In April 2025, China stunned the aviation world by ordering its state-owned airlines to halt all future deliveries of Boeing jets. This wasn't a delay, it was a total shutdown, including a ban on buying American aircraft parts. The shockwaves hit Boeing hard, threatening its future in one of its most vital markets. China's largest carriers, Air China, China Eastern and China Southern, were forced to turn away from their longtime supplier. The move signaled that US-China tensions had reached a breaking point, with business now a weapon in a larger economic conflict. Unlike the 2019 MAX grounding, which was about safety, this was pure politics, a direct response to escalating trade disputes. Beijing made it clear, American companies were no longer shielded from geopolitical fallout. For Boeing, already struggling with production issues and regulatory scrutiny, the timing couldn't have been worse. The loss wasn't just about sales, it threatened Boeing's long-term market share in a country set to dominate global aviation for decades. The skies, once a symbol of cooperation, had become a new front in the US-China rivalry. The unthinkable had happened, and the consequences were just beginning to unfold. Boeing's crisis had gone global. The roots of China's Boeing ban lie in a rapidly escalating trade war. In April 2025, the Trump administration imposed a staggering 145% tariff on Chinese goods. China hit back with its own tariffs, including a 125% levy on US-made aircraft, Boeing's bread and butter. Suddenly, buying a Boeing jet in China became financially absurd. A brand new 737 MAX, ready for delivery, was returned to Seattle, a powerful symbol of the new reality. The aviation sector, once a pillar of US-China trade, was now a casualty of tit-for-tat escalation. Aircraft are high-value exports supporting thousands of American jobs. By targeting Boeing, China struck at the heart of US manufacturing. The message, China could and would use its market power as leverage. The grounding of Boeing was no longer just a business dispute, it was a global power play. The US-China relationship had entered its most volatile chapter yet. The world was watching and so were the markets. The stakes had never been higher. The fallout for Boeing was immediate and severe. Over 130 planes worth billions were suddenly undeliverable to Chinese airlines. Boeing scrambled to find new buyers for up to 50 jets, a daunting task in a crowded market. The company's stock price tumbled, and CEO Kelly Ortberg warned Congress, 80% of Boeing's planes are sold overseas, market closures are existential threats. The loss of China wasn't just a financial hit, it threatened Boeing's entire global business model. Thousands of American jobs were now at risk. China's three biggest airlines had planned to take delivery of nearly 180 Boeing jets by 2027. Now, all plans were in chaos. The halt created a logistical nightmare, storing, maintaining, and reconfiguring highly customized jets for new customers. The ban on parts and equipment triggered a secondary crisis for Chinese airlines, forcing them to seek alternative suppliers and raising safety concerns. China was willing to disrupt its own aviation growth to make a political point. The stakes for Boeing, and for American manufacturing, had never been higher. The crisis was no longer just about lost sales, it was about survival. Boeing's future was on the line. As Boeing faltered, Airbus surged ahead. Investors bet big on Airbus, whose stock rose as it became the clear alternative for Chinese airlines. With a major assembly line in Tianjin, Airbus was perfectly positioned to fill the void left by Boeing. Massive orders once destined for Boeing were now likely to go to Airbus, shifting the industry's balance of power. But Airbus wasn't the only winner. China's own Comac, maker of the C919 jet, suddenly had a protected home market and a golden opportunity to scale up. The crisis gave Beijing the perfect excuse to accelerate its push for self-reliance in aviation. By sidelining Boeing, China was nurturing its own industrial champion. The C919, still in its early days, now had a launch pad to become a true global competitor. The trade war was reshaping the future of aviation, permanently. Boeing's loss was Airbus, and Comac's gain. The political fallout was swift. President Trump blasted China on social media, calling the move a betrayal and vowing to stand firm on tariffs. In Beijing, President Xi Jinping spoke of defending global trade and supply chains, but made it clear China would not back down. Boeing's CEO, caught in the crossfire, urged moderation and warned of the real-world impact on American jobs. The crisis deepened divisions in Washington, with some lawmakers questioning whether the trade war was worth the cost. The grounding of Boeing became a symbol of the risks of aggressive trade policies. For Boeing, the stakes were existential. For U.S. manufacturing, it was a wake-up call. The debate raged. Was the economic pain worth the political objectives? The world's two largest economies were locked in a standoff, and the outcome was far from certain. The future of global trade and American industry hung in the balance. The crisis was no longer just about airplanes, it was about power. China isn't just another market for Boeing, it's the most important. Over the next 2 decades, China is expected to buy 20% of the world's large jets. Losing access to this market is a devastating blow for Boeing and its vast network of American suppliers. Boeing's investments in China, like its Zhoushan Completion Center, were meant to build goodwill and secure long-term growth. The trade war shattered that strategy, proving that no amount of local partnership can shield a company from geopolitical conflict. The pain ripples through the entire U.S. manufacturing ecosystem, threatening thousands of jobs. The crisis exposes a harsh reality. As China builds its own advanced manufacturing, U.S. companies face rising competition. Ironically, the tariffs meant to protect American industry may be accelerating its decline. With Boeing locked out, Airbus and Comac are eager to fill the gap. America's dominance in aerospace is now at risk. The Chinese market, once a golden opportunity, is now a stark warning about the dangers of global interdependence. The future of U.S. manufacturing may depend on how Washington responds. The stakes could not be higher. Boeing now faces a crossroads. Its immediate challenge: find new buyers for jets built for China, targeting fast-growing markets like India and the Middle East. The process is costly and complex, but Boeing's survival depends on it. The crisis could force Boeing to diversify, reducing its reliance on any single country. Recent wins, like a record order from Qatar, show there are still opportunities, but competition is fiercer than ever. For U.S. manufacturing, the Boeing crisis is a wake-up call about the risks of trade wars. It may prompt a rethink of aggressive tariff strategies and a push for more resilient supply chains. A prolonged lockout from China could permanently damage America's industrial base. The future depends on whether Washington and Beijing can de-escalate, or if the rift becomes permanent. If tensions persist, Airbus and Comac could dominate the world's largest aviation market. But if diplomacy prevails, Boeing might yet reclaim its place. The coming months will decide whether this is a temporary storm or a new era for global trade. The world is watching.